This video is on the legalization of marijuana. Marijuana, should it be legalized or not? That is the question, and it is of great debate lately. So we're gonna take a look and see, should it be legalized or should it not? And since this is a quick capture, I'm doing all my editing live. Anyway, I think if we were to legalize it, there would be an enormous amount of tax profit, so that alone is a ridiculously huge reason to legalize it. Be able to pay for, well, at least in Canada, pay for, every health expense for everyone in the nation, or America could pay off all their national debt if it was legalized there, and there's a lot of national debt to pay off. And as they're shrinking their budget in the States, eventually prohibition, is not going to be included within that bubble. You gotta squeeze something out. You can't keep shrinking everything, and you gotta get rid of the programs that don't work. So prohibition will be abolished. At least I hope. But if you think about it, that's just one reason. The tax revenue alone is a great reason to legalize it. Another good reason is that addiction, if you were to say someone was addicted to marijuana, that's a healthcare issue, and people should treat drug use as a healthcare issue. It just shouldn't be an enforcement issue, I think, just based on morals, and those are my morals, To me, if you take like a heroin user and you throw him in prison, that's not going to do anything good for him except help him find more people to use heroin with, I think a medical approach is far more effective, and it's been, proven to be more effective, now that the courts are trying these alternatives out. So that's good. That's a good step in the right direction. And let's see, what else? This is a quick capture, so it's just off the cuff, plus, marijuana's never harmed anyone. It's the most benign substance as far as toxicity, most benign natural substance you'll find growing out of the ground. So for that reason alone, I think it should be legalized. It's never hurt anyone in the history of mankind. There's never been a documented overdose and death from marijuana. So that in itself is its own argument for legalization. Also, another good argument for legalization is that it's a racist law, and it was started based on, according to Tommy Chong, when all the white men went away to war, the Mexican slaves were took up with the wives while the white men were away fighting the Civil War or whatever. And so when they got back and they saw that, and they saw them smoking the reefer, they're like, the Mexicans are doing it, we gotta get rid of this. And so there was a tax put on it or something, and it just escalated from there, really escalating in the Nixon era, and Nixon never did anything good for anybody in any country, even his own. With the, I think, what is it called, the Watergate scandal. But anyway, that's irrelevant to what I'm talking about. But we're having the lifestyles of millions decided by very few men who are flawed. Flawed people, and don't see themselves that way as flawed human beings. But politicians are flawed. They have their particular viewpoint, and they even categorize the flaws, like, this is liberal, this is conservative. Liberal's much better, by the way, but this is conservative, this is moderate, this is liberal. Like, at least, I guess all the idiocy is categorized, which is okay, I guess, but anyway, yes, it should be legalized. It's not hurting anyone. The tax revenue that can be made from legalizing marijuana would wipe out national debt. It would, pay for any healthcare system America ever wanted, and pay for the one Canada already has itself. Um, and we'd be able to direct our law enforcement to doing more useful things. There are far more useful things to do than be chasing after hippies with herbs, with flowers, so, your priority list is pretty messed up when you're chasing hippies with flowers. That's basically what, marijuana is, a flower. So, yeah, but I'm not going to knock them or anything. I'm just saying that there should be other priorities besides busting people that are smoking a benign substance that's hurting no one. And I think the police are more aware of that than the politicians actually are, I think, because they're arresting less and making it less of a priority. I think in Seattle and Vancouver, it's at the very bottom of the list, on both sides of the border, the very bottom of law enforcement's list. So that's another good reason for legalization, because they're not really enforcing it anymore unless you're making it painfully obvious. The small time stuff anyway. Just doing it yourself, but they're not really going after people as hard for that anymore. And I think that's a nice step in a positive direction when the law enforcement is realizing before the frickin' government does, hey, this isn't a big deal and we don't need to be prosecuting or hunting people down for this. But for the longest time there's been this witch hunt for pot users, and Mark Emery included. He's a classic example. There's this witch hunt out for the pot people. But I think things are changing. There's bills going through right now in California to, I think, legalize, if not decriminalize, marijuana. And so that's a very progressive standpoint. I think that's a step in the right direction. Hopefully the government will vote that into existence. And if they do, I'll be heading on up to California. But anyway, that was just my opinion on that. You can feel free to leave your comments below on your opinion. Should it be legalized? Pot? Should marijuana be legalized? Tell me in the comments section below why or why not. I don't care what your opinion is. Just back it up with facts.